I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and welcome to Surviving Bad, where we explore stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. Today we talk about, grief, a process that can move at the painstaking pace of one day at a time, and Breeding lost her son to an overdose. And the unrelenting grief of that experience has taken her on a journey as an advocate, community activist, healer, and founder of Steps of Hope, so that hopefully no other family has to bury their child. Anne, welcome to the show. I've loved what you've been doing for years. Tell us a little bit about yourself for those of us that don't know you and sort of where we are today with Steps of Hope.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. My name is Anne, and I did lose my son, Daniel Bailey, to an overdose on November 1st of 2020. Needless to say, my entire world stopped that day, and the heart-shattering, soul-crushing pain began. So that was a journey that started in 2020, and honestly, I felt it in my spirit that something was going to come of that. I just didn't know what. So that being said, I actually looked back on because I try to document things, and I looked back on my timeline and saw about 4 months in is when the word walk was put on my heart. So that is when we decided that we were going to walk. That's what I needed to do. And I didn't know what that looked like either, but I knew I had to walk because year one is some serious brain fog. And honestly, I thought I was losing my mind through most of that first year just because there's a lot of tears, a lot of meltdowns, a lot of I'm losing my mind and I can't even think straight and I can't make a decision. So when the word walk was put on my heart, I reached out to another mom across the country that I knew had done a walk and said, what do I do? Here's who I am. Here's what happened. And I need to walk, but I don't know what I'm doing. Can you tell me the first step? And she said, all it takes is a mom that needs to do something. So you create a Facebook event page and you show up to walk. And that's exactly what I did. I reached out to a friend from my church and told her this is what is on my heart and this is what I need to do. And she said, you know what? We're going to lock arms and I'm going to do it with you. And we're going to do it every year. We're going to do it on your son's birthday. And you're going to be honoring him by helping other people. And it's going to do something special for you. And you're not going to sit at home and cry all day. And I said, okay. And I literally hung up the phone and thought, okay, I'm not sure what she just said, but it seems like it makes sense. So that's what we're going to do. So we ended up doing our first annual walk, May 20th, which he should have been turning 30 years old that day. And we did our first walk that day. Lo and behold, tornadic activity going on in Ankeny that day at that time. And I said, you know what? My son survived these elements 24/7, 365. And if anybody felt that it was not safe, they did not need to come, but this mom had to walk. So I showed up, and there was probably about 150 people that showed up, other moms that got it that I'd never met before. And I cannot tell you the blessing that was for me, because the one thing I have learned is that I'm not alone and other people are not alone. Although we felt alone, I know I felt alone, but there is a whole lot of us out there, and there's stuff to be done. And so that's what we're doing now.
Yeah, in our both of our work with people that suffer from great loss and grief, the one thing about grief that I don't think a lot of people get that haven't been through it is that it's not something you overcome and goes away. You live with it every day. There's no hope, rainbow at the end of that walk that says, okay, I finally accomplished my grieving process. It becomes part of your life. And one of the interesting things about what you've done is you've brought so many people out there to talk about it openly that it really helps a lot of other people overcome something called stigma. Because I know you felt it. I mean, you felt different than the rest of the world after losing your son, like you didn't fit in anymore. And it's hard to imagine how many people there are out there that are totally home and alone. What has been some of the biggest things you've noticed and learned from dealing with people on your walk and throughout the year that's really inspired you to have hope in continuing this?
The stigma is so real, and the stigma is what prevents people from getting help. And the stigma it gets under my skin really big, because I did have to be quiet for a long, long time. And now my son's not here, so I have no fear and I don't care what people think. And I'm realizing how many of the people that are out there, just like me and just like my son, that didn't get help or haven't gotten help. So for me, the way that we crush stigma is we do talk about it and we shout it from the rooftops and we share our stories, and sharing your story is that rescue for someone else. Because I'll never forget Linda, who reached out to me through a friend from church, that she reached out via messenger and just said, hey, here's who I am. I lost my son too, and I just wanted you to know I'm here. That was, I cannot tell you, it was like the biggest weight lifted off my shoulders. And I will never forget her for reaching out to me. And I didn't even know her. And we were instantly, I mean, it's like a family. But the stigma does prevent people from getting help. And that's one of the things that has got to go away. It's just got to, like, we've got to talk about it, because I don't care what tax bracket you're in, what neighborhood you're in, what city, state, it's everywhere. So the only way we're going to stop it is to talk about it.
I remember those days, and Linda and you, when this was all beginning. We're going to take a short break, and we come back. We're going to continue our conversation with Ann. You don't want to miss this.
Malware and bots and worms, oh my. The wild, wild web can be a scary and complex place. And as our digital world expands, so too are the threats. Watch out! Trojan horse. That's why at Mediacom, we take security very seriously and monitor our networks around the clock to stop threats before they can affect you. Not today, rude kid. Not all internet is created equal. We build ours to keep you connected and protected.
Watching MC22 is now easier than ever before. All Mediacom customers can watch local programming online anytime. Go to mc22.net, click Watch MC22, and log in with your Mediacom account. Not a Mediacom cable subscriber? Mediacom internet or phone subscribers can watch too. Your local programming leader, MC22, online at mc22.net/watch.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. We're talking with Ann about the power of grief to partner with solutions to a major problem in Iowa and America: substance use disorder and overdose deaths. Now, these are problems where traditional methods have had little success in making significant impact. Not to belittle all the work that's being done, but the fact is the overdose rate keeps going up. The threats keep coming up, with now fentanyl becoming even wider and wider, spread in our communities. And I'm sure you have opinions on all this, but there really isn't a lot reaching into the hearts and minds of our communities to change this trend. And you're one of the few people that are out there putting your heart on the line every day. How do you look at this challenge and the almost insurmountability of the task, and determine how you're going to move forward?
Well, I really appreciate every person that does anything to try to prevent, no matter whether it be harm reduction, public safety, public health, lived experience. I don't care who you are or what you're doing. If you're trying to prevent another death, I am cheering you on all day long. But I will tell you that what we have been doing is obviously not working. 2023, we lost over 112,000 people. 307 parents wake up every day in our country and find out that they have to bury their child. That's not okay. Enough is enough. It's so disheartening, and it's so infuriating, and there's so many emotions that come, because every time I learn of another one that we've lost, that's another son, that's another daughter, that's another mother, it's another family, it's another brother, a sister. So for me, I am very big on getting Narcan out there, because that's what will reverse the opioid overdose. And it can't hurt anyone. If someone is passed out on the floor and you don't know what's going on, you can Narcan them, and it's not going to do a thing if it's not an opioid overdose. But if it is, it enables them to breathe until help can get there. So that is our one tool that is okay with the state to have. I will say fentanyl test strips, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but they should be legalized. That's a soft spot with me, just because I think every tool that is a life-saving tool should be okay to use. But I really think that the public health and the public safety harm reductionists, and lived experience. When we come together, I've witnessed it myself, things get done. And so that is a big deal. I was invited to a sequential intercept mapping program at Polk County, and it had those people at the table. Someone was represented from every angle. And I will tell you that I've never felt hope until I walked in that room and they heard my voice and they understood. And things are getting done with the settlement money that's come in. Things are getting done, not fast enough, obviously, because people are still dying. But like, for example, the Narcan, the governor approved a new bill where someone like myself with a nonprofit can get it out there as a secondary distributor. So that has been super, super incredible. We're putting Narcan boxes in the communities. My goal is to have one in every county. And right now, I think we've got like 13 of them. And I just ordered 2 more today for Polk County, which is essentially an old newspaper machine that you can just open up and take out the Narcan, take what you need for free. And there's no stigma attached. You don't have to answer questions at the pharmacist or anything. Like, you just go get it. So that's a big deal. That's a big deal to me.
Yeah, and
But that's
I
one
agree with you.
project.
I give my heart out to everybody working on this, because if we think about prevention, it's unmeasurable, because you don't know what doesn't happen. Just imagine if all the things that I inferred weren't really working. It's not that they're not working. Imagine how bad it would be without all of those efforts. It
Yes.
could be twice as bad. So we're continuing to pour fuel and opportunities on this fire of overdoses and illegal substances that are killing our kids and adults. And it's frustrating.
It is
In
frustrating.
some respect, it would be nice if we could find more aggressive efforts to stop these things even hitting the street.
Right. Yes. And getting into the schools and talking to the kids. And that's something that I've been very vocal about, that we need to be in the schools. And we're talking middle school. We're not even just talking high school. And I was invited actually last month to Ankeny Centennial High School, and I got to talk to the junior and the senior high class. And then I was able to go to PCM High School on the following Friday, which was incredible and amazing. I did not reach out to them. They reached out to me, which was such a blessing. But I do think that schools, it needs to be in the schools. Like, we need to be talking. All the schools should be armed with Narcan. All the police officers, the patrol cars should be armed with Narcan. If you're a coach, you should have it. If you're a teacher, you should have it. If you know somebody, if you care about somebody, you should have it. Like, I carry it in my purse, my car, my home. I have it everywhere. And everywhere I go, I ask everybody if they'd like some, which actually opens an opportunity to crush stigma again, to explain to people that it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. If you've got a fire extinguisher in your house, it's because you want to be ready for a fire to, rescue if you need to. Same thing. You don't know when you're going to end up coming across someone. You don't know what their situation is. You don't know if it's a child who just decided to try something for the first time. So it doesn't matter what the situation, everybody should have it.
No, you're absolutely correct. And it does, starting at a young age. And that's one of the quandaries you run into with fentanyl test strips. A lot of these young children, they're not trying to take an opioid. They may be taking an Adderall or something, and these fake prescription medicines are getting them. So it's hard to get them to think about testing for something that could kill them when they're not even in their own mind close to the risk. We need to make them aware of that at a very young age. I really appreciate that warning. We're going to take a short break and continue our conversation with Ann Breeding and Steps of Hope. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned.
Dad, I'm not glitching.
I told you, with our new Extreme Internet, it will be smooth streaming.
That's unbelievable.
Well, you better believe it, Missy.
I already finished streaming the whole second season of my show.
So start the third.
What the fast? That's really not frustrating.
I'll take that as a compliment.
You should.
I'm gonna get some ice cream. Do you want some?
With the drama-free reliability of Extreme Internet, you'll have to create your own. Get super fast internet with whole home Wi-Fi for as low as $24.99 a month for a year.
You told me not to talk to strangers. You told me not to cross the street without looking both ways.
You told me not to touch the stove. You told me not to do drugs. You told me not to drink and drive.
You gave me so many messages about how to stay safe. Why didn't you keep me safe by properly storing your gun?
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. We're learning about grief and how Anne has activated a movement toward healing with her organization Steps of Hope. And one thing I noticed, and I know you work with a lot of moms, but dads are in the picture too. There's a lot of couples and families that come to your walk. And but men grieve a little bit differently, don't they?
They do. They do. And, you know, men aren't supposed to cry and that typical, whatever you call it in society, but it is okay to not be okay. And it doesn't matter if you're a man and it's a family disease, right? So we all deal with it and they're not alone, just like we're not alone. And I'm very open with even the guys. It's like, you know, it's okay to grieve. And we've lost our child. And there are guys that are out there that are stepping up and they are doing things similar to the Steps of Hope. And we've kind of partnered with some of them just so that they can learn from me, I can learn from them, because really it's the together, it's the community, it's the more people we get on board, the diverse population or community within Steps of Hope, it's getting things done. It's together we will make a difference. That's one of my things. I can't do it alone. It's definitely a team effort. And my heart goes out to the men because I know that society says you shouldn't cry and society says you should handle things this way or that way. And you know what? Grief is grief. And we grieve big because we love big. And it's okay to grieve. And it's okay to come together, to do the things, to honor your kids and to get things done.
You know, anybody that's met you knows that you have a tremendous passion for this. And in many ways, you're sort of relentless. You don't let the world stop you from getting your stuff done. And I know when I was talking to you once, you said, you know, you just do it one day at a time. And in the world today, which is especially with young kids, with the mental health issues they're having, the disconnects with their parents and families, with the stuff happening on social media, sometimes I wonder if remembering that it's one day at a time isn't good advice for everybody before anything bad happens, to count every blessing of every day, to connect with your kids and sons and daughters, and to not be afraid to raise the alarm. Now, when you talk to families, what are the key things you're sharing with them to keep their kids and families safe? I mean, the lessons you've learned and the things that you've learned since then.
Be present in their life. Never give up. Love them right where they are, because life is challenging, especially these days. I mean, there's always something, right? So they're going to have their own challenges and their own struggles, and we need to just be present. I don't know the statistics, but I know they're out there that when a child has two people that care about them that are constant in their life, it makes a huge difference on just their future. So that being present and loving them right where they are is a big deal.
Yeah, you know, you look at it, somebody will go buy a lottery ticket in the hope that this week they could win millions of dollars, you know, one out of millions and millions of people. But like you said, 300 parents and loved ones a day are waking up. Well, more than 300, but in 300 cases, they're waking up without a loving son or a daughter or a spouse.
Right.
A day. That's not a lottery ticket any of us wants to buy.
Right.
What do you think are going to be the new vision for, you know, you've been doing this long enough, so you probably have some pretty strong opinions on some things that could have a dramatic effect. What are some of those things you think would be important? Do we need to have more outreach from people? Do we need to put you in front of more schools? Do we need Health and Human Services to focus more on prevention, to provide more resources and assets to communities? What do you feel from all your experience it's going to take to turn this tide of overdose deaths around? I know it's a village and it takes all these different parts. And
yes.
Maybe is it an organization to connect all the parts better? I don't know.
You know, I really think prevention is a big deal. I think it's a huge deal. I think getting into the schools and talking to the kids, and there's a lot of programs that of other parents even that are trying to get into the schools. And I've been told by other parents that, you know, the doors are getting shut. They aren't letting us in. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's a parent. I don't care if it's the DEA. I don't care if it's the state of Iowa. I don't care if it's EFR, UCS. There's tons of programs, right, that could be in the schools. here's the thing. Nobody wants to talk about drugs. And this is where the stigma comes in. Here's the deal. Do you want to be sitting at my walk next year with a t-shirt with your child's face on it? It's time to get on the front end of the fight so that you can be more of the initiator and the preventer than where we are right now, right? So I really think prevention is key. And I do think harm reduction is key for those that are already active in addiction. I think the medically assisted treatment is a big deal. I think that all harm reduction is essentially just trying to reduce harm. And they cannot make a decision to get healthy down the road if they're not breathing. So that is a huge deal. So it depends on where you are in the walk, but as far as the prevention, I do think that's a huge deal. But if they're already active in addiction, then harm reduction is a huge deal.
I want to talk more about that, but we're coming up to our last segment. We'll take a short break, and we're going to ask Ann to share some final comments and insights when she comes back. We're looking to be inspired. See you all after the break.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Oh boy.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Growing antsy for your favorite sports to return? Lack of quality programming got you down? Well, worry no longer, because Inside Sports is here to satisfy your cravings for the savings, your need for speed, your desire for the umpire. You get the message, right? Tune in to Inside Sports to get a deeper look at athletes on and off the mat, the track, and even the Wi-Fi? Yup, if there's action, you can bet we've got you covered on Inside Sports, only on MC22. Stream online on MC22.net and on our channel Monday and Fridays.
Welcome back. Today on Surviving Bad, we've talked about the power of grief and families partnering with solutions to a major problem in Iowa and America, substance use disorder and overdose deaths. Let's see what final insights and inspiration Ann has to share with us. Ann, talk to us a little bit about some of your event and the things going on that you think are important.
Well, we've got the Steps of Hope Overdose Awareness Walk, which is on what should be my son's 33rd birthday this year. It's our 4th annual, and it's May 20th at DMAC Ankeny campus. There's a gazebo and a pond on the south end of the campus, and that's where we will be. We will have tons of resource tables set up from every angle of substance use disorder, whether it be even grief counsel. And there's UCS will be there. They'll have free Narcan training and distribution, and there will be from 12-step programs to health and wellness programs to religious-based programs to there's even going to be pet the therapy dogs will be there. So, and Amanda the Panda will be there. So there's for the families that have lost someone, there will be grief groups type set up resources there as well. And so the tables will be set up by 5:20. So people can come early and browse the tables, take what they want. And then at 6 o'clock, I'll pick up the mic and say a few things, and then we will walk and we will carry our banners with our people because they walk with us and they are making a difference. And it'll be great. It'll be good. And Iowa Wild's always there too with their mascot Crash. He's great.
Well, and even families that haven't lost someone, if they want to bring their children or come out as a couple or even individuals, there's so much positive energy there, so much learning. I mean, it's a real safe way to get out and learn a lot about the community, the risks, the solutions, and getting a little exercise, taking a walk around the lake with some people that are really nice. Like I said, my experience has been that it's a very friendly walk with a lot of positive people on a mission.
Yes, lots of families come out. Lots of families come out, which is super cool. And there's all kinds of information for everybody. So if you want to learn about it, you can learn about it. If you already know about it, but you need help with something, that's there. And the recovery communities are amazing. The Sober Soldiers group is there. The Kingdom Living group is there. Dads with a Purpose is there. We've got all kinds of really, really cool groups that are out there, and we all come out with our kids and we do the walk, and it's pretty great. And the kids love the mascots because Amanda the Panda is there, and then Crash, and the kids really they really enjoy those. So
I sat on the hill watching, and it was so wonderful to see the kids so engaged and parents not afraid to talk about this stuff with their children, and people coming out to support you and other people like you, knowing that it takes this sort of village and that we have to break down that barrier of stigma. We can't erase people that are suffering, from the consciousness of a healthy community. All communities have to be holistic and healthy in that way.
right.
So I appreciate
Yeah.
everything you're doing there. What do you see for the future?
Well, I can tell you that there's anything that can be done. If it's within my realm, it's going to get done. That's whatever it takes is what I do. That's kind of my theory. We've got the DEA is coming here with their family summit in June. That's in June, and they have asked me to speak at that as well. So that'll be good to just share about steps of hope and how we're turning pain into purpose and doing something with what we've got, what we've been dealt, trying to make a difference and slow the roll, as I say. Then we've got in August, we'll have a memorial on the steps of the Capitol for Overdose Awareness Day again, which is August 31st. And that was beautiful last year. I'll never forget that because we've got all the banners of our kids right in front of our beautiful Capitol building. So we've got that as the backdrop, which is amazing and beautiful in itself. But so that's kind of what we've got coming up in the next few months, which I think will all be hopefully bring hope to people, because that's essentially what Steps of Hope. That's my goal is to help others, save lives, and point everybody to hope.
Well, we look forward to seeing you at the walk. And for those of you that have watched the show, you can watch the credits and see the sites to go to get information on the walk. It's next week. So get out there and support Ann and all those wonderful families and learn about these things that are important for you to keep your family and community safe. Thank you all for watching and joining us today. Ann, thank you for being here. Check out our website at healthyiowa.org and keep your eye on MediaCom MC22 for our next episode of Surviving Bad, where we explore stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. I'm MediaCom MC22, your local programming leader.